Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast brought to you by DraftKings. Put down $5, get $150 in free plays on these NBA games. It doesn't even matter who wins as long as you're a new customer. That's how cool it is. Code word PHNX. All right, now, joined by the big dog, literally, figuratively, whichever way you want to put it, the voice of the Arizona women's basketball team. He's been calling some baseball as well, flawlessly as always. Mr. Brody Dryden. Hello, Brody.
Hey, Mike. Happy to be here. Yeah, it was a fun weekend covering Arizona baseball, and they were taking on Nevada, and it was great stepping in. And I get that kind of opportunity. It's always a good time, and what a great team to cover too. It was awesome.
All right, so let's talk a little bit of Arizona baseball this year. Been kind of an up and down season. I think a lot of people need to remember that, when Jay Johnson left LSU, took recruits, took some players with him, certainly. Daniel Susac has certainly been a linchpin of this year's team. But you've also had, like I said, there's been some fielding issues. What have you seen from this year's team in the first year of the Chip Hale reign?
Yeah, I think you got a lot of that right, Mike, because it's a new era and some really good talent that wanted to stick around. And Daniel Susac and Tanner Otremba and Chase Davis have really been some solid bats for the team this year. So that's been really fun. And they're a long ball hitting team. Chase Davis has been like the walk-off guy. I feel like his season has been just about has been just about as exciting and fun as you could have asked. And he's got a great swing too. And yeah, Tanner Otremba and Daniel Susac, they've been on top of the conference in the Pac-12 as potential batting champions. They've been kind of swapping places in the lead with the best batting average in the Pac-12. And even down the lineup, guys like Nick McClary and then some of the younger guys that are getting opportunities now. It is just kind of that year. It's year one, but I think despite you're right, there were some players that moved along with Jay Johnson. I think the talent that has stuck around has made a really fun season. And I think in the preseason, a lot. That's one of the issues when you hire an alumni, a legendary alumni like Chip Hale, right? It's like, that screams World Series. Everyone's going to be like, this is going to be the best team and whatever. But you still got to give them some time. And this is still a really great team. And they've got an opportunity to do some real damage in the postseason. But yeah, that has been kind of a narrative that it's been a little bit disappointing with some downs, but when they're playing at their peak, I think they, could beat just about anybody in the country.
What's the vibe around the team right now? I mean, is it seem to be, is it pretty much kind of a, because it feels like, even though some of the slip ups, it feels like a fairly loose team out there. Do you get that vibe calling those games?
Yeah, absolutely. And filling in on the radio this past weekend, I do some interviews with the players, and that's the thing I asked a few of the guys is what's the vibe around the clubhouse right now? Like at that point, the series I covered, it was a non-conference 4-game series against Nevada.
Right.
Solid school, but record wise, nothing great. So it's not, like they're facing a top 25 team from out east or in the SEC or whatever. So it's kind of one that, it might catch you off guard a little bit. So I asked them about that, and a lot of them spoke to the camaraderie and the fun and just the energy that a lot of the guys have this season, and that from the bullpen to the rotation to just the guys hanging out in the dugout, that some of the younger guys and the mix with the older guys. I actually talked to Blake Paw, who's a senior. He's been around since 2018.
Great name, by the way. Love that name. I love also hearing you pronounce it too. Fantastic.
Yeah, phenomenal. Thank you. Yeah, Blake Paw, he got a couple opportunity in the designated hitter spot. He was dealing with an oblique injury that kept him out for months until the Creighton series. But he was just talking about how when he came in as a freshman, and how the seniors kind of treated him, and told him like, hey, this time is going to fly by, like enjoy it while you can, kind of keeping the energy up. And the younger players call him grandpa because he's been around so long, and everything. And he said just it's kind of surreal now he's that guy, kind of mentoring and talking to the younger players and letting them know how things work. But I think, guys like him and keeping that tradition and, sticking through, the tough times, his injuries, all the experience he's had from his previous years now coming into this year, that just helps move along the tradition of Arizona baseball.
All right, let's talk a little bit of Arizona women's basketball. There's not a bigger star, and you know this firsthand because you covered the team. Where can they find you, by the way, Brody, during the regular season for Arizona women's basketball, just to let people know who we're talking to?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us live on the radio, 1400 AM if you're in Tucson. We're on the Varsity app, or online if you just go to the ArizonaWildcats.com and you're looking at the women's basketball schedule. You can get the online stream right there, or the Varsity app. That's what you have to download on your phone if you want to listen. And follow me on Twitter at Coyote Brody, and I'll send out updates and reminders as I get them.
Okay, so Arizona women's basketball loses 10 players, to attrition, the transfer portal. Some people are nervous about it. They're like, well, what's going on here? Mike Luke, on the other hand, not so nervous about it. And it's not because Mike Luke is smart, and it's because Adia Barnes is the coach of the Arizona women's basketball program. She knows what she's doing. She's added 2 big-time transfers already. Looks like there could be a third coming down the pike. This is why you have to have faith in somebody like Adia Barnes right here, because she knows what she's doing there, Brody, and you see this up close.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's understandable with kind of the high turnover, if you will, and the transfer portal and all that stuff. And you look at it and it's kind of a question mark, like where are we going here? But yeah, absolutely, every step of the way, it's all calculated. And so far, what we've seen from Coach Barnes has been spectacular. She's got a plan in place, and it's starting to unfold in front of our very eyes right now. I think Lauren Fields is a tremendous get for Arizona. Obviously,
this is an all-conference type player that can score points. And when you watched him last year, the one thing that they did struggle with at times was scoring points. So it's kind of it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, no, it really is. And you see the connection there. Ashley Davis, the assistant coach for Arizona, she used to be with Oklahoma State. So that's one thing with this coaching staff. They've got connections kind of all over the country right now. And Fields should definitely be an impact player right away. So I think the question for me is, you get all this talent, and I have no doubt in my mind it's going to be a good product out there, but that's just going to be the interesting part of seeing as the season starts and things kind of unfold, is how do you get this core group of established players that have been around for a year or 2 or more, and how do you integrate all the transfers that come into the program, the freshmen, and how do they all mesh? That's going to be kind of the storyline and the interesting part going into the start of the season. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right. We got some other players we got to talk about and break down. But first, Brody, have I told you about the DraftKings Sportsbook app, code word PHNX?
I think you need to tell me more on that, Mike.
All right. Since you asked, I will deliver. Here's the deal. You put in $5, you get $150 in free plays right now. That's simple, that easy. You got to bet on the NBA. 21 and up, Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Again, new customers only. I've been telling people from day one the Miami Heat are going to win the NBA championship. So again, this back when it was plus 1,400 odds, they're now at plus 450. If you're saying, all right, I generally think Mike's an idiot, but maybe he's right on this, the DraftKings Sportsbook app is where you're going to want to go and check that one out. Check it out. All right. Now, Brody, We're not done. You got it. Now you've got, this just came down yesterday. Esmery Martinez, who was committed to LSU, is another player that was another all-conference type player, 6'2", 11.6 rebounds a game. These are impactful players that you're bringing in that you don't have to guess whether they can play or not. You already know that they can play because the film's out there.
Absolutely, and that's a big get for Arizona because, like you mentioned, she's a rebounder. She's going to be good in the post, and Arizona's already got Kate Reese and Lauren Ware down there returning to the team. So you're going to assume they're starting, but again, with kind of that mass exodus of players, you didn't know who was going to be coming off the bench. Maybe that first player off the bench, especially down low in the post. So I think that's where you're going to see her make her impact, rebounding the ball, making plays down low. And yeah, another double-digit scorer to add to the roster. I mean, you really can't complain. And coming from a great program like LSU, you just know she's talented.
Right. You know, it's funny. You look at it now. Look at where we were at this time last year, Brody, where you had a new basketball coach coming in, Tommy Lloyd, that nobody really knew much about. He had been a long-time assistant at Gonzaga, but you don't know a ton about him. KO, and my guy, had been a long-time assistant in a lot of different places. Doesn't necessarily equal success. Jed Fish is in, taking over for Kevin Sumlin, but at the same time, you don't really know much about him. And you fast forward a year, Tommy Lloyd's obviously checked off every single box. Jed Fish, obviously they only won one game, but you bring in a top 25 class. You're probably going to be bringing in another one on top of that. You've got an engaged coaching staff right here. Then you look at baseball. Jay Johnson obviously goes off to LSU. You bring in Chip Hale, who certainly has stabilized things. I know some people weren't big on the hire, but at the same time, I mean, you cover this team. This is a decent baseball team, and it's not like he's fallen on his face or anything, and he clearly wants to be there. The athletic department's in pretty good shape, Brody, from when you look at it just from this time last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there was just that time of sort of turmoil and question marks, and I don't think it necessarily helped that that was kind of peak COVID, if you will, too. So right. I feel like every Wildcat fan was like, what's going on here? What are we doing? But at the moment, things are looking stable. I was just talking with somebody yesterday, the strides that the athletic department has made in terms of the NIL deals and getting ahead of the curve. With that, which has proven to be so huge. I mean, who knows what the future holds that's kind of the big story right now. But regardless of that, Arizona has done a great job of providing student athletes with whatever resources they need there. We've seen some.
Have you been approached for an NIL, Brody? Be honest with me.
I'm getting pulled in a lot of different directions for my name, image, and likeness. But the thing is, I'm pretty picky. I'm pretty picky and choosy. I put my face out there for the PHNX Wildcats podcast, and really not much else. Yeah. I like to keep it pretty exclusive over here. No, but it has been really nice and refreshing, especially when some schools close by aren't having as much fortune and luck and fun, because we'll see what this football season holds. Happy birthday to Jed Fish, by the way.
Jed Fish, absolutely happy birthday to Jed Fish.
Saw that on Twitter. But I'm excited. Last year you're excited because it's the first year of the Jed Fish era. You kind of didn't know what you're going to get, but now it looks like the team is really going to take a step forward from where they were last year. So I'm excited for that season right around the corner. And just, overall credit, you give good credit to Dave Hickey all the time, Mike, and he deserves it because he took some criticism. You check social media, you check whatever during that time where there were a lot of changes being made, what's going on here, but he's weathered the storm, and it seems like the department's in really good shape right now.
That's always what would be most difficult for me because, you have to be out there when things aren't going well, but then when things do start going well, I would be the one that would want to say, "Hey, where's everybody at that was giving me all that criticism?" But
Exactly.
that's also why Dave's in the position that he's in, and I'm in the position that I am. So we'll just put it like that. All right, big dog. Before we sign off, Arizona basketball here under Tommy Lloyd. I wanted to get, because we haven't had you on since then. Obviously, he's restored Arizona amongst the nation's elite. This was I know fans wanted Arizona to go further. We all did, but if you were to tell me at this time last year that Arizona was going to be number one seed, they were going to win the conference, they were going to win the conference tournament, Tommy Lloyd was going to be the national coach of the year, and you're only going to make the Sweet 16. Yes, please sign me up. I mean, that's what we were dealing with just at this time last year. What were your thoughts, big dog, on the coaching performance this past season?
Oh, a great job. Absolutely phenomenal. And that was definitely something that I didn't know going in. I had never heard of Tommy Lloyd. I had heard of Mark Few. Didn't know any of his
Brody's a real
assistants.
college basketball fan. He knew who Mark Few was.
Yeah, exactly. So I was, pretty, I know he was in the rumor mill
Right.
before he got hired. So then I caught his name then, but I definitely, didn't know, because the safe picks are always, unfortunately, guys like, in football terms, Kevin Sumlin, who didn't
Right.
love that hire when that happened, because it was
Right.
like, guy with experience, guy who's won, he's coached up great quarterbacks at the collegiate level before. What can go wrong here? And you see what happens. But then, a guy like Tommy Lloyd, purely as an assistant, in his experience, the question marks were certainly there, just like everybody else. But pretty quickly, he's turned things around, and you got to give credit to him as well for kind of embracing Tucson how he has, and I give credit to him how he's kind of dealt at press conferences and things like that, because Tommy's been a pretty personable guy, I'd say,
Mm-hmm.
in interviews and on the radio show, and whatever, which is, kind of a nice, refreshing thing to have. The head coach just being that guy, being fun. I mean, it makes it a lot more welcoming when you're winning as much as he did out on the court as well. So that doesn't hurt at all. But it's really been fun, and I'm glad to see what he's done.
All right. If you wanted to bet on Arizona basketball before the season, if you said, Tommy Lloyd, I think he's going to have a breakthrough season, there's only one place, Brody, that you would go, and that's the DraftKings Sportsbook app, code word PHNX. Need to remind you all about the deal. NBA playoffs are in full effect. We're going to talk about Brody's Raptors here in just a second, what his offseason plans are. But if you're a new customer, you put in $5, you get $150 in free plays. That simple, that easy. It doesn't matter who wins. All right. My guy right here, Brody Dryden, is the first Toronto Raptors fan that I've ever met that is a real Toronto Raptors fan. I met Brody before they went on their championship run, and Brody was telling me, I like the Raptors. Keep in mind, it wasn't like he had told me this before. He just said, I like the Raptors to win it all. Lo and behold, the Raptors, behind Kawhi Leonard and Brody's guy Pascal Siakam, go on to win the championship. Kawhi Leonard makes a bad decision and leaves for the Clippers, but the Raptors have stabilized. What would you like to see besides just the improvement from your rookie of the year and Scotty Barnes this past year?
You never know, though. Big kind of headlines right now in terms of Raptors news is what the future with Nick Nurse holds, because I think that's been a debate. Was that championship fraudulent? Not fraudulent, but is Nick
The
Nurse
asterisk talk.
Yes, and there's kind of a couple asterisk talks with the Warriors and all that, but people kind of praise Nick Nurse as a genius pretty quickly, but then Kawhi Leonard leaves, and then what happens? So is it the player or the coach? But I'd say he's really navigated his time without Kawhi pretty well. They obviously haven't been as good, but this year with the team they've got, I think he's done a good job and done all he could. And that's why there's the rumors that he could be leaving for the Los Angeles Lakers. He's come out to deny that, as every coach before they might get hired by another team says. So but that's just the one thing to keep an eye on, because especially with the Lakers, even though Nick Nurse said no way, if LeBron and Jeannie Buss, if they want him, they're going to make him a sizable offer, and I'm pretty sure he'd listen. So, hopefully he does stick with the team, because I definitely think he's a great coach, and he's right for the team right now. So hopefully they can hold on to him. But yeah, I think the key is just staying healthy now for next season, because in terms of development, up and down the roster, they invested in a lot of young guys. They really hit the jackpot with Scotty Barnes. OG Anunoby should be really good next year. It's just a young, fun, athletic roster with some good shooters, some great experience. A lot of these guys still have are still on the roster from the championship team. And I think the future is really really bright. And, I was thinking about the Philadelphia 76ers the other day, and how for so many years it was trust the process, and they
right.
Yeah, they tanked, and they were bad, but then they had this young, exciting group of players, and they had all this hype around them, and it came in with Joel Embiid. I'd rather be the Raptors in this situation, because I think they never bottomed out, obviously, like the 76ers did, but they've got a lot more talent, and I think they're just, on the up and up in the next 3 years or so. I'd say they, if not next year, they could be a contender.
All right. He's Brody Dryden. Catch him while you can. The voice of the Arizona women's basketball team. Also doing some Arizona baseball as well. Brody, are you going to be doing any more fill-in work on baseball? What's the plan there?
My next scheduled broadcast is actually going to be the closing softball home series. Arizona softball takes on Stanford for May 12th. It's going to be a 5 o'clock first pitch on Thursday, May 12th, until Saturday. It's a 3-game series, and that'll close out Arizona softball. So we'll be live on 1400 AM if you're in Tucson, or if you want to listen online. All that stuff is online. Just find us, Arizona softball. So.
All right, big dog. Again, City's lucky to have you, my man. Keep doing your work. Bright things are in the future. Follow him on Twitter at Coyote Brody. Again, Brody, we'll have you on again soon. Appreciate all your time, my man.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mike. Talk to you soon.
All right. You've been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.